If I have understood that all human beings are imperfect, firstly understand that. Don't expect perfection out of imperfect molds. And that's what Mother says. I mean, I keep repeating this sentence because there are some sentences of hers which have been game changers in my life. One sentence she's written is, every human being will let you down. Don't be surprised when they do. They are imperfect. Don't expect perfection from imperfect molds. So she says no human being is really going to be there for you. Only the divine is for you if you are for the divine. And what does it mean for the divine to see that everything is the divine masquerading as separate human beings? So I can't expect perfection out of a masquerade, right? The real person behind the mask, I can expect perfection out of that because that's something existent. But the mask is just something that's been painted by the forces of nature, and it will change moment to moment. So how can I expect perfection out of it? So once you fully understood that human beings are going to be imperfect, but with all their imperfections, let me love them anyways, and let me allow them their imperfect changing nature. So once I stop putting an impossible demand on something imperfect to yield perfection, I'm at peace. I'm not disappointed. When they don't fulfill my expectations, it's okay. That's their nature. That's how they are being pulled by the forces of nature. But the beautiful thing is, it's not that we have to settle for disappointment in human nature. We have to remember that this imperfect, changing human nature is being used from behind by an all-perfect, all-knowing intelligence to give us exactly the experiences we need. So that's where surrender can come in. I'm not judging the frontal person, and I'm in surrender to the essence that is manipulating the person to be what he or she is. Remember, I keep saying conflict is good because conflict brings out in my nature things that I need to see. Otherwise, I would never know they exist and they could never change. And every time I come across something that I can't control, it's teaching me the beautiful life skill of letting go, right? If I could control everything, I'd never learn to let go. So every time I'm faced with uncontrollables, I can't control the way this person behaves with me. Why do you behave like this? I want you to change. But when I can't control it, I'm forced to let go of my demand on that person that you should change to make me happy. And then that's what Tolle is saying here. He's saying something very beautiful. When you receive whoever comes into the space of now as a noble guest, when you allow each person to be as they are, they begin to change. And when you're not controlled, see, if they behave in a certain way and you start building a narrative about it, and you're controlled by that narrative, you're also an empty boat, right? You'll go and knock against 10 empty boats and disturb their peace. But if you are just patient with that narrative, if you just say, this is what my mind is saying, but let me wait. Many times in the past, I've had interactions with people, my mind has created a story, but it's not been true. Let me not be controlled by this narrative. So this morning, one of my yoga students shared a beautiful line. She said that when she was very upset, her friend gave her this advice that whenever you're facing darkness, sit with it long enough till you see the stars in it. So beautiful, no? Don't let the darkness control you. Sit with it long enough till you start seeing the stars in the darkness. Because every darkness, Sri Aurobindo says, no, there's nothing like darkness. All darkness is actually full of invisible light, light which you can't see. You can't see the purpose of that interaction because you're blinded by your own ignorance. But if you sit still and let your ignorance settle down, you'll see different perspectives. You'll understand why that darkness is there. And that understanding is the stars in the darkness. So this is a beautiful interaction that Karen Miller's master Mezumi Roshi had with his followers. A group of practitioners had asked Mezumi was the master, the Zen master, to convene a meeting because some of them weren't getting along. They were bothered by the way things were going. Other people were taking liberties, exploiting their status, not doing their share. So it was the usual politics among disciples. They were unhappy with each other and they are going to the master for a solution. It wasn't right. It was unfair. They wanted Mezumi to hear them out so he could intervene and discipline the offenders. It always helps, they said, to bring an upset out into the open so that something can be done. And that's the way, I mean, it's not wrong. We always feel, no, if I'm upset, I have to find my voice. I have to speak up for myself. And that's right in a certain dimension, and that's what happens. So they all brought it up to their master and they all in front of each other voiced, you're wrong, I'm wrong, whatever. I was a visitor. Karen Miller was the visitor. So I said nothing. My practice was hard enough to maintain just by myself. No one else was making it harder. So as an impartial, so she wasn't really an inmate of that monastery. She was a visitor, so she was just watching. But as an impartial observer, I could see where the problem originated. Everyone said his or her piece. Arrows flew through the room. Mezumi heard it all and seemed genuinely bewildered. The Zen master saying, what is this world? It's alien to me. What are they talking about? Because he lived in another way. He was quiet for a long time. We come together to practice like trees in a forest, he said. No tree bothers any other. Every tree shares the same ground, light, water, food and space. Each grows according to its own capacity and the conditions present. Trees grow upright and strong and together create a place of shelter and beauty. Where exactly is the problem? So imagine you're going to the master for a solution and he's telling you this. So everyone was very disgruntled. So human relationships are not that simple, someone countered, exasperated at the old man's cultural blindness. These days, people require a more sophisticated approach, taking into account personal histories, biases and feeling. Don't you think, he asked, don't give me the simple answer about trees and all. We are not trees, we have minds, we think, you have to take each of us into account. And he said, don't you think that's so? So the master answered, don't think. Many left the room unsatisfied. So it's so beautiful. It's like they are talking two different languages. The students are coming to the master with, he said this, she said this, you solve it. But the master is saying that why are you first of all going into all that? This whole world is functioning out of natural intelligence. Look at the trees, they share the same ground. They share the same water resources, light resources, air resources. Most problems are, you feel you took more, I got less, that kind of thing. And they manage and they live in harmony because they don't think. They are just harmonizing into each other. So that's what the master was saying, that don't believe your thoughts, which is so expert at creating conflict. Just be in flow with the harmony of life.